I'm the mamacita.
And I'm the king. Cheers.
What if you just like broke it?
No, that was actually pretty loud. And then he likes my plant back there. It used to be much taller and then it started dying, so now I have one little sprout.
I love how it's her plant, but I'm the only one who kind of waters it.
Well, it's a cactus, right? I think it's a cactus. So you don't.
Cactus.
I don't know. You don't have to water this thing as much. So, okay. So, hi. My name is Lauren, and this is.
I'm Kyle.
And we are the coaches at TeamCosmicBodies. And today we're going to be talking about training and training with intent in the gym. So going in there and being intent with what you are doing, really maximizing what you are doing in there, and having a logbook and why
we're gonna talk about the logbook a little bit, like being accountable, spreadsheets, notebook. We'll talk about intensity a little bit. We'll talk about just not wasting your time. All right, you're spending, especially if you have a busy job, family life. You don't really want to go in there and and waste your time. You want to go in there and maximize things. So,
and we see this all the time with like people or like watching them in the gym, and it's just like, what are they doing? Like they're going here, plyo, this, that, and it's
or
just...
even like some of the older guys that like are lifting with bad technique, or they look the same for years, and that might be their goal. But I'm just saying, if your goal is to maximize and improve, here are some tips. So the main thing I want to ask Lauren, because I feel like this changed a lot for her and helped her progression as she grew muscle and became a professional, bikini IFBB pro league bodybuilder. And so, and that's probably the spreadsheets and the logbook and tracking and being accountable. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So like my first training regimen, I would just go off of this sheet, which was just like everyone had the same sheet and plan. But ever since I started working with Kyle, he like totally took over my training side of things in like 2015, or this is more probably when I was competing. He had a spreadsheet for me, which laid out all of my exercises, my main movements, my secondary work, and, giving me my reps and how many sets I'm doing, plus my RPE. And I was able to track and actually type in the load that I was working with. So I got into the gym and I knew exactly what I was doing, and I was typing in my spreadsheet how much weight I was picking up. So then the next week I went in there, I knew what I did previously last week. So this week I wanted to beat that, or maybe have better technique. And it's good to know what you have been, what loads you're picking up with.
And I think it kind of it saves her from herself, right? She could just go in there and maybe half-ass it a little bit, but then end up doing like 5 or 6 or 7 sets of certain things. And this way I kind of just be like, hey, do 3 sets of things or 4 or whatever, and have some warm-up sets, but like do less, but let's make them more purposeful, more intent, harder working sets. And whether we're like trying to do more reps, whether technique's getting better, whether she's getting stronger, she can look back at what she was doing. So you can use a notebook. You don't have to use a spreadsheet, but you can literally just have like a notebook composition or your phone or something like that, and write in what you have been doing.
And one thing with like Kyle's training is you can just run through it. You some people can just like do the training and be like, this was so easy, and they run through it. I get this a lot, and it's like, no, this training is actually very, very intense if you take your time with it. Like every set matters, every rep in there matters.
Yeah.
So you really have to push yourself, and also giving yourself rest in between your sets. So don't just do, set number 1 and wait 2 seconds and do set number 2.
Yeah.
No, take a rest, calm down a little bit, and then go into that second set really pushing yourself.
I think that is a big mistake, is people come to us and they do, it's like they do the 3 sets that I give them, But it's like, that could have been your warm-up sets. You didn't even get to the intensity you should have been at. You're not pushing yourself enough. And you're just kind of like spinning your wheels in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you're going there, why waste your time? So that is true. They just run through it. They're not resting long enough in between. Like, they're just resting 20, 30 seconds. They're not actually resting 3 minutes. And they're not getting close to failure for these. It takes time to understand, your body. You might have to make a mistake and go to failure. You might have to, you have to push yourself. I don't know how else to say it, but basically that is a big mistake I see people, is that they just kind of run through it really quick and they didn't actually work really hard in those sets. And then you talk to her and she's like, those 3 sets took me 15 minutes with the warm-ups, and that's one exercise. So if just 4 exercises, that just took an hour.
It takes me, I rest in between my sets because I want to give that my last set my all. And I want to make sure I'm feeling strong and I'm ready to push. And so I think that's definitely the way to go.
Especially if, let's say you played easy initially, you're just messing around, but then you get more and more serious as the weeks come together. And you really are starting to push yourself, getting close to failure. You're writing down some serious weights that like progress and PRs. And then the next week, that's when it starts to even get harder, because you pushed yourself last week and now you have to beat that in some fashion, whether it's one more rep or, maybe you don't beat it each week, but that's the idea, is that you just have to set that standard for yourself as far as working hard and getting close to failure. Okay, so that's what we're talking about as far as intensity, and the RPE is working with a load, and obviously we're giving you sets and reps, and you want to go close to failure where you have nothing left in the tank, or only have 1 or 2 or 3 reps left in the tank with good technique. And you're actually, you're not lifting with ego where the technique gets sloppy. It's just all with intent, and it takes time. So don't be hard on yourself and just frustrated with yourself. Just, if there's just some little progress you can make and you're pushing yourself and making that progress, that's all you can do. And it'll show within your physique for sure, and within getting stronger. And I think that's about it. It was a big game changer for you.
Yeah. It was definitely a huge one. Just knowing what I was doing in the gym previously. I still have all of my training regimens back in like 2016 and 2017. Like, I have everything still, and I'm able to see what my hip thrust was years ago.
And doing the same movements is not a bad thing. The whole muscle confusion isn't really real. So I think that's part of the logbook, right? It's like, I do the incline bench or the shoulder press and my lat pull down or my hip, whatever it is, and you're doing these things week after week, month after month, and you can make changes.
Because I just have this lifestyle client that I'm working with, and we don't even want to do a fat loss phase. Like, we're just so into the training side of things because she's mind blown. She's only in the gym actually 3 days out of her week, but she is just loves the side of, I can't believe I'm getting stronger. Like, she's seeing herself getting stronger, and she loves the movements that she's doing, because previously she used to get into the gym every week and do something totally different, didn't have a schedule, didn't have a routine, and she's loving.
Is she doing a full body?
She's I think she's doing a full body. But she's like, Lauren, I'm getting better at my movement every single week. And that's what's exciting me. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting stronger at it. And that little thing right there, that's just motivating her so much. And that's just what I love.
Yeah, and then you got to push her to be like, hey, send me the media of the training footage. And then, especially if you're not doing a fat loss phase or anything like that, where they're not going to send you media of pictures and body composition. There's not a lot of progress. She's probably recomping and changing her body comp, but there should be less pictures. So it's more about the homework of sending footage and short-term and long-term goals. Hey, what do you, now that we have some weeks and months under our belt, what do you want to do by the end of the block, by the end of the 4 weeks or 8 weeks within the hip thrust? Okay, you're doing 225 or 185 for 10 right now, and you want to do 225 for 8 or something like that. So you just, it's like, how can I increase by 15, 25 pounds on the hip thrust with more reps or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
so overall here, with our training style, and what's important is not having this huge, you go into the gym and maybe you have a regimen from a coach that just has like 10 exercises. You're just doing 5 sets of 20 to 30 reps of whatever. And you're just going to honestly wear yourself out. Are you really pushing yourself? Like you're maybe you're 3 exercises or 4 exercises in, and you're just like done. You're like, I need to go home. Like and so you half-ass the rest of the training. You literally just like run through the rest of the training just because you have all this more to do and extra sets and reps, and it's just crazy to me. I see some of these training regimens. It's just like,
it's too much.
Wow. So what I love about, our style of training is, you look at it and you're like, okay, I only have 5 exercises today. Okay, but it's just the intent and the effort that you're putting in there, because you're like, wow, I only have 5 exercises. I'm really going to make the most out of each exercise and each set and rep. So that's just what matters most of all, is like every rep you do has intent.
Having that logbook, having that spreadsheet, having that phone, and you're writing in what you do that week. And so and it especially helps if you are traveling or if you're doing different movements. So let's say you're doing the hack squat for 8 months, and then you move away and you go to like a leg press or a back squat for a while. But then you come back to the hack squat 8 months later, right? So it's like 8 months of the hack squat, 8 months of something else, a different squat movement, and then you come back to the hack squat 8 months later. You can go back and be like, what was I doing? It's like, yeah, and then maybe you might be a little bit weaker, or maybe you might be maintaining, I don't know, and then you can kind of ease back into it. So there's something bigger than just seeing week after week, but months and years of exercise selection, and then how strong you are. So you just, because that situation, you get into the gym, you're like, what am I going to lift in here, or how many reps, or what exercise I'm going to do. So it's just nice to have things written down, or even taking pictures of like how I set up the machine, or like it's like third knob, because it's like, how long does it take to fix this machine to make it fit me? It's like, it's a headache. So sometimes I'll take pictures or write down of the machine.
Yeah, like where my seat is at for my lap pull down compared to when Kyle has to put it up a different spot.
But just in general, if you're by yourself, it's like, okay, it's on the third knob for that, or take a picture of it. I don't know.
Let's stuff down. Okay, so we're going to end the video here, and thank you for watching.